What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back. Welcome back. I know y'all wondering, like, why am I so hyped? Well, the reason I'm so hyped is because we took a month off for doing this show. I know y'all got used to when we first started doing this. We used to do this bi-monthly, so it'd be 1 month on, 1 month off. And then we decided we were going to keep giving it to you guys monthly. Unfortunately, I'm going to be honest with y'all. September was just a busy month between the Clark Kent and running a poetry festival here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, along with just other artist stuff. I just had to take a break. So we do apologize. I know y'all been waiting on us to get back, but we are back. Welcome back to Art to Heart. I know y'all was looking at the flyer talking about Art Meets Life. Art Meets Life. They quit doing that show virtually and they're back to doing it as a live event in Fayetteville. That's what happens when your mind's overworked. It just happens. You end up making mistakes on the flyer. Stuff like that happens. I'm going to go ahead and admit that I apologize about it. But at the end of the day, you know, you're still here and we are still lucky to have you. So I'm your host, LJ Bowens, and we are very, very blessed to have you here in the building. Shout out to Lynette and Bako, aka Little Miss Drama, for tuning in. And yeah, guys, if you're not familiar with Art to Heart is a 1 hour-esque show where we interview artists of all mediums, whether they are podcasters, whether they are musicians, whether they are actors, poets, dancers, painters, you name it. We interview them. We have a one-on-one conversation so that way you, the audience, will get a chance to know these phenomenal artists that we have in the virtual space that is here. Whether you're looking at this on Facebook, whether you're looking at this on YouTube, we are here for you. So without further ado, this is a very special edition to me because I had the privilege of not only becoming a fan of this wonderful podcast that is out now, probably one of the hottest podcasts out that deals with horror, because I'm a horror fan. And now, granted, I'm a nerd, but I'm also a horror nerd. But the fact that I got to meet this wonderful group of people, the fact that my little sister is part of this group of people, and the fact that their show is just phenomenal. If you have not heard any of their series, this is the chance where you get to know who they are, and this is the chance where you will get to subscribe. By all means, the one and only, the wonderful group, the awesome podcast known as ScaryCrit.
Woo! What up, podcast people?
Hey.
I'm sorry. I'll get hyped. Automatic air horn. It's like strapped in here. So, how y'all doing, guys?
We're good.
Pretty good.
How are you?
I'm good. You know, I'm happy that y'all are here. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like, it is a blessing to have y'all in this virtual space. Now, granted, sometime in 2022, we are gonna get together and like just do all of the shenanigans. Like, I'm letting y'all know that right now. But to have y'all here in this virtual space with all these empty seats on the screen, but you know, people, but you know, it's an audience there. We promise you. But it's good to have y'all here in the building. And real quick, just before we get started on all these questions, introduce who you guys are.
I'm Jared. I am one half of ScaryCrit podcast. Big horror fan. I really don't know what else is.
Oh my God, Jared has a whole MFA.
Oh,
he is a whole writer. He is probably one of the smartest people I know, and he is like a pop culture dictionary, thesaurus. I don't know the book title.
Bestiary. I don't know.
Bestiary.
I love pop culture. I'm really big on Super Mario in terms of like nerddom. But yes, I do have an MFA. Fiction is my jam. Horror was my first love, and so I like to write that. But I like to do a lot of cross-genre stuff, and I can make some mean cinnamon rolls. And I'm also trying to become the Miss Frizzle of Festive Earrings. I don't have a Halloween shirt like Mel does, but I'm wearing a jack-o'-lantern earrings. You guys can see those. But that's me.
I'm Lauren. Most of my friends call me Mel. I am the other half of ScaryCrit. I have an MA in media studies. I have a whole degree in horror, so haha. And we met at grad school at Pratt. Lifelong friends ever since. And I don't know what else about me. I'm funny.
Yes, she's very funny.
I sing songs when
don't
they're
worry
not
about
needed.
Yeah, we're gonna get all that right now. But real quick before we get started, we do have some people that's commenting. We have Epiphany saying OMG.
Hi! Oh my God, I miss you so much. I have been waiting. Sorry, I need to say this. I have been waiting for more chapters of these things. I was a beta tester reader, and I am clawing for more material. Okay, hi, I love you.
And then we have our friend Aaron, who's one of our awesome supporters, saying they love your earrings, Jared. They love them.
Oh,
They love them.
Thank you.
Awesome. So what we're gonna do before we start getting into the nitty gritty and all these good questions, I'm gonna ask y'all a few icebreaker questions. Now, some may be catered to one of you, some questions may be catered to both, but these are the icebreaker questions before we start getting into a little bit of serious questions. And then I think we're gonna probably do something fun just to see, so everybody can see what you guys kind of do when it comes to your podcast. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So, first icebreaker question goes to Jared. Jared, what is your favorite word and why?
Favorite word?
I would say the word, and if I pronounce this wrong, it's going to be so embarrassing. But I would say the word aureate, Aureate. It means like golden. And I just like, I don't know, it just makes you think of like something very warm and happy and accomplished and successful, and like, because gold, golden, all that stuff. I think I learned the word in middle school and it just stuck with me. I don't know. I like words, so I would say that one is, if not my favorite, it's one of, if not the favorite, it's one of my favorites.
Like top 5 or top 10?
Definitely top 5.
Top 5. Is it 5?
I wouldn't say it's 5.
So, moving to LaMail, you get the next one. What is your least favorite word and why?
Ooh. Oh, don't tell me you're one of those.
No, I don't care about that word. My least favorite word is
Nice.
Sorry, I hit the button on my watch. My least favorite word is probably like sincerely. Because of the emails, because of professional emails. I hate having to like sincerely, Lauren, because I'm not sincere. I'm never sincere. It's always because of professionalism.
There's a song by Lily Allen called "Insincerely Yours," and I feel like you would love that.
I've never heard that. Now I'm gonna Google it.
It's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, that's sincerely.
Wow, nice. So this question is for both of y'all. Due to the fact that y'all are of course, horror podcast. If you could be any character from any horror movie you've seen, who would that character be and why?
From any movie?
Oh, this is
Any movie. And these are only the icebreaker questions, by the way.
Any movie.
This is so tough.
I want to be J-Lo's character from In the Cell.
Really?
Yes, because 1, she was smart. 2, she was like the underdog because she was a lady. And 3, she brought Vince Vaughn to his knees in his mind. And her outfits were so cool.
I am so stuck on this question right now. Oh my god. Any horror movie.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I either want to be J-Lo's character or I want to be the cat from Alien, because the cat from Alien survived every single movie.
Lies. No. It died in was it Alien 3?
Okay, amend them. It survived the first 2 and was actively sought for. I want that level of care in my life. I want to be searched for.
I would almost say I would want to be Ellen Ripley, but she has gone through so much.
So much.
I just don't know if I could deal with that. I'm gonna say.
What about Jada Pinkett from Demon Knight?
No, I'll say Coraline from Coraline.
Oh, that's
good.
Coraline.
That's good.
I liked her attitude with that.
I liked her raincoat.
Oh yes, I need a yellow raincoat or a red one. You know, I need more bright colors in my wardrobe. All this dark, yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Y'all have some good characters. Then so if the cat got so off topic, if the cat, how did cat get in part 3 if they never went back to get the cat?
Because she froze. That's what I'm saying. They found the cat, and then in the second one, she was like cryogenically frozen or whatever, and the cat.
But no, but the cat. But when they found her, the cat stayed back on the ship when they went back to the planet. Because she was like,
I just don't remember it being in the third one.
But in theory, we don't know what happened to the cat. That's what I'm saying. The cat could just be living her best life on the ship alone. I think the cat is fine.
Got you. All right, so this question is for both of you guys. So both of you guys have awesome professions outside of the podcast, of course. But if you had the choice, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt and why?
What other profession other than our own would we like to be in and why?
Yes.
A pastry chef.
Ooh, why?
I would like to be a pastry chef. Just because, I mean, I already bake, but I kind of just like, briefly before grad school and everything, I would kind of imagine or daydream, what would it look like if I went to school for that? What would it look like if I went to school to really be like a person who worked in a bakery or owned a bakery and like really got good at my craft? Because, you know, I used to watch stuff like Rosanna Pansino and How to Cake It on YouTube. I mean, I still do from time to time.
So the cinnamon rolls you mentioned earlier were homemade cinnamon rolls?
Yes.
I am personally victimized that I have not had these cinnamon rolls. I thought you meant you were being funny and like a Pillsbury moment.
No. Don't insult me like that. How dare you? Everything I bake is from scratch. When I go home for the holidays, I tell my brother and sister, y'all don't bring store-bought in here. I will do it. I will teach you how to do it. Pies, cakes, cookies. Cookies are like my bread and butter, but cinnamon rolls, yes. So I'm thinking, like, what if I went to school for that?
I have known this man for like 4 years.
For a while now, yeah.
And I have never had a baked good, a confectionery treat.
I have to fix it. But I'm thinking, like, what would it look like if I could really get to that level of, like, pastry chefs, like, really, like, make stuff like they do, like, in my own kitchen, like, really get to the skills, like, croissants and whatnot. But I'd probably that, because it's something I love, it's something I'm passionate about, and it's just something that it would be interesting to see, like, what if I had that on, like, a professional level? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, pastry chef. I'm sorry about the cinnamon rolls.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize. For me, I think it would be an interior designer.
Ooh.
That's what I originally wanted to do. But math, so I gave up. But I've always enjoyed like putting a room together. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be cool to see, like, you know, in Earth 32, there's an interior designing Lauren somewhere running around. Thought it might be cool to see.
Nice. So I was going to ask you one more question, but you know what? I'm just ready to go ahead and jump into this whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put that phone up and let's get into it. So we got the wonderful people of ScaryCrit here, ScaryCrit podcast. So Lamel and Jared. So first things first, where are you both from? I know where y'all at and where y'all at now.
Well, now we're in my apartment in the Bronx. Because Jared lives in Jersey and I live in New York. Yeah. And then Jared is from Colorado.
Yes, I'm from Denver, Colorado. So born and raised there. And, you know, like, I'm a Coloradan, but I'm not like the kind of Coloradan that is adventurous, that would go to the mountains and go on hikes and, you know, go to...
Jared doesn't do the outdoors.
Like, and I got into it a little bit in college, but I didn't, like, and I went skiing a little bit, you know, for school field trips in elementary school, but I haven't really
hold on. You went elementary school field trips where they go skiing?
Yeah, we went to Loveland. Yeah, like, I remember falling over, and, like, it was so hard to get up because those skis were so heavy. And the snow was so cold.
The life you lived, man.
It was just like the ski lifts and just like, it was really fun. Like Loveland, Breckenridge, you gotta go. Y'all gotta go. Like, it's really beautiful up there during the holidays. Like, it looks like a postcard. But yes, I'm from Colorado. And now I live in Newark, New Jersey. So as my sister would say, I'm not built for tough for the city. But I I am comfortable with that fact, and that's why I live adjacent to the city. I live nearby, but I work in the city. All my social life is in the city. Mel is in the city, so that's why I'm here. Because I thought it'd be cool to come over here and do the interview like together instead of just like virtually. So, or I mean,
3 times virtual.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So originally my family's from New York, from Westchester County, but I grew up down south. So I'm like a North Carolinian because I claim it.
Because what?
So yeah. And then I moved back up here to go to school. We both moved to New York to go to school. So
you from the south and I'm
nice. So let's start with before the whole moving into, of course, y'all getting together and get to school. Let's start with the big question that everybody always want to know. What was the thing that got y'all interested in horror movies?
I have a story. Cool. So this story is funny. I have an older brother, and so I always watched things or saw things or were introduced to things that were outside of the recommended age group, as we're gonna say.
All the time. And
one night he brought one of his friends over, and one of my friends were over, and they were watching. We went to Blockbuster and got a bunch of movies.
Blockbuster.
And they got Leprechaun. So me and my friend, who should not have been watching this movie, we're now watching this movie. And it was super late, and it was all this little guy, whatever. And so I had to walk her back home, suburbia, whatever. I'm going to walk you down the hill, and I'm going to come back up. So my brother and his friend drove. When we left to go walk, they snuck out of the house, got in his car, drove around to the corner to scare us as we were walking, right? And so it was this whole thing. We were terrified. They were laughing.
What did they say? I want me go.
Yes! Like, it was a whole thing. And so when we got back home, yes. I was like really upset about it. I was like, he's not going to scare me again. So I sat there and I watched the movie over and over and over and over and over again. So I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen now. It's fine. And then I went with my mom to take all these movies back. And it was the first one on the stack, and I dropped it down. And the guy was like, oh yeah, have you seen the second one? I was like, the second one? Ooh. And then I discovered the whole horror section in Blockbuster, and my life was forever changed. There's that, and then as a family, we went to go see Dracula 2000. Remember the movie with Coolio, and he turns into a vampire in space? So, again, I was too young, and I was terrified, and my mom had to sneak me into The Emperor's New Groove because I couldn't handle the entire movie.
Such a good movie.
It was so good. I was like, oh, why didn't we go see this in the first place? But then I was embarrassed because I couldn't stay in the movies with the rest of my family to watch the vampire thing. So I snuck in with some of my friends like the week after and went and watched it again. I was like, no, we're gonna get over this. And then and then that kind of led into another rabbit hole of other vampire films that I got into. And then it all just kind of got weirder from there.
Mine was, I don't know, it was like a slew of movies. I don't think it was just like one that did it. And also shows because we're both 90s babies. So I grew up with Goosebumps on Fox and
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Which I never watched, but
I was contributing.
It's okay. So Goosebumps is like the big one for me. Goosebumps was a very big one to the point where I was actually scared to go to sleep because I thought like whenever the lights are off, okay, is Slappy coming? Is Monster Blood going to start seeping under the door? Like what's happening? But it was Goosebumps. It was a bunch of movies. It was Leprechaun. We had that on tape. We had it on VHS. I loved Leprechaun. Warwick Davis, bless him. Hollow Man, Kevin Bacon. That was a good one. That was a big one because that was I think that's from like 2000. So Hollow Man, and of course The Haunting from 1999 with
only.
Yeah, that was a really big one because the whole haunted house theme and how the room came to life and just like how like the those sculptures had come to life and just all this stuff like those really got me into horror because I don't know what it was. It was just I just found them like. They were always so interesting and always like fun to watch. And The Mummy, of course, because The Mummy was adventure, but its horror
It was
element
scary too.
was
Yeah.
everything. And that one also, and I remember watching that with my dad, like on pay-per-view, and it paused on the part where they're driving and like all the Imhotep zombies are like jumping on the car, and we had to call customer service to get it fixed. But it was just like all this stuff. It just like piled up. And I don't think it was like one thing, but I would say by the year 2000, horror was like my favorite genre by then. Like I was very into it.
Terrible CGI and all, man.
I mean, as kids, it was still terrifying.
Yes, it was, but just like as looking back now.
Yeah, some movies had some bad, horrible CGI. A lot of movies had that.
Remember the 3D phase?
Oh my God, I hated that phase. I hated that phase with a passion.
Everything was 3D.
You're talking about like Avatar and Beyond?
But no, like My Bloody Valentine 3D.
My Bloody Valentine 3D, Saw 3D, Piranha 3D. Like Shark Night 3D. It was like it was bad. It was like so many movies wanted to do this whole 3D cash in. It did
like
not go well.
2008 to like 2000. When did that like slow down recently? Like 2000.
I don't know.
But yeah, 2008 and beyond, it was 3D was everywhere.
It was terrible.
Yeah. It wasn't even that good.
No, it wasn't.
And it's like, and I had to wear my regular glasses
over top. Yep.
Yeah. So now that we got that part, so fast forward to now, getting to New York. Both of y'all attended Pratt, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you guys meet up, and how did we come up with this concept known as ScaryCrit?
Jared and me almost weren't friends because he almost dropped the class.
I just want to give a shout out to one Mr. Ethan Spigland.
Hi, Ethan.
Now the class that we were in, it wasn't. I wanted to drop it at first because it just wasn't what I expected it to be. It just wasn't for me because we were. What was it?
Funny games.
Serious
games. Serious games is the name of the class. So it was serious games. Yeah, I think so. Ethan was my advisor when I was at Pratt. He is a filmmaker that is also a professor there. And so he was teaching this filmmaking class that was more experimental, that kind of went with, it like kind of went through the history of like how to play and then how that relates to film. And then we went through like the histories of like collectives and other more experimental directors to try to get us to think of making films differently.
Yeah, and we were watching a lot of films that I've never seen before. Films that were very what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't in that typical structure that I was used to. They were very like you said, avant-garde.
Yes.
And it was just I'm very like, what are we doing right now? I wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to looking at movies outside of this box, and I was just like, what? But so two of my friends who are in my MFA class,
hi Rika
and Natalie,
I'm looking at you.
No, I mean it's fine. They dipped.
No, they did. They
dipped, and I was just like, and I was about to pick up my purse and do the same, but I stayed because I'm just like, I didn't know what other class I was going to take in that time, and I was just like, let's just stick it out. It's movies. We could learn something. And then later on in the semester, I had met Mel and Cachet, and I met you because I was complimenting Cachet on her beautiful pink coat.
Oh, the coat with the fur, the coat.
Cachet, if you're out there, if you're watching, I hope that you're doing well, sweetheart.
I don't.
Stop it.
Ooh.
You're live. And rudeness. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
So that's how we met, and we had to do a bunch of I think we had to do shorts, right? Mm-hmm. So we had to do shorts, and we had to know each other through like watching the shorts, and we just like we just liked each other, so we decided to keep in contact outside of class, and then we graduated, and then Mel, you had this idea pre-pandemic.
Yeah, because so we were, you know, as life happens, you graduate, you're trying to do all these things, you're trying to figure it out. And a friend of mine was like, oh, well, like you have all this knowledge, you should do something. You should make a YouTube show or something. And I was trying to figure out what that was. And then the pandemic happened and everything closed. And I was doing some more freelance work and I was editing. And then I started listening to some random podcast. I don't know. And then a friend of mine sent me a link to another podcast. Like, oh, you should do a podcast. And I was like, oh, that could be the thing. But I didn't want to do it by myself. And Jared and I, but even when we were all friends with Cachet, we would go to the movies all the time. And we saw like during grad school, we would go a lot. And so I know that Jared likes horror as much as I do. And we have a good relationship. We have a good like back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
We understand most of each other's references.
Most.
And so I was like, hey, do you want to do this thing? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did a couple of test runs to kind of get our groove and figure out what we wanted to talk about. The troubleshooting days. Oof. We reached out to Rico, who made our fantastic logo.
Which I love so much.
It's so good.
It was like that one thing we needed to really tie the show together.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that pop.
And then we released our first episode September of last year.
September 2nd.
So things have changed. I think we're still growing, but I think we have
a really
an aesthetic now.
Yeah, compared to season 1, those early episodes, I think we're in a really good place right now. We definitely do have a groove. Late last season and starting, with this one, we do cold openings now, which I think are really fun. And then like we have the Necronomicon section, then we have our crit section. But yeah, it's been a fun year. I can't believe it's already been a year.
Right.
And we're already 4 seasons deep. And it was just like, Mel presented this idea. Yeah, thank you. Mel presented this idea and I said, sure, why not? Because I only listen to my podcast listening history is not that large, but The Read is my favorite with Kid Fury and Crystal. And I learned, editing this podcast, I learned a lot from them. So I just want to shout out to them because I feel like they helped. Listening to other podcasts is like when you read books to learn how to write. It's like that. You're listening to other podcasts to learn how to, how can you do your thing? So I feel like us listening to a bunch of other podcasts has really helped us get our own groove together. And a year later, I feel like we're in a really good place. And I'm like with Mel, I can't wait to see what else it grows into or what it can become. We definitely need to have more than one guest critter, though.
We're working on it. We're working on it. But I mean, LJ, your episode, your guest critting was so incredible. It's a high bar. It's a high bar.
Very honored for you.
Don't stop it. Y'all should check that episode out. Where can they find that episode at? Where can they find?
You can look on our website at www.ScaryCritPodcast.com. There's a link.
You can see all our episodes.
Good stuff. So, what I want to do real quick, because I got a couple more questions to ask. But just so people can get a gist of how great y'all are at what y'all do when it comes to critiquing, scary critiquing, and doing everything. I want to give them a small little example. Now, granted, your show normally goes for a good amount of time, but due to the fact that we don't have as much time, I'm going to give y'all the choice. So I don't know if anybody's seen what we're going to talk about. I'm just going to throw something out there. So I'm going to put this out there as spoiler warning heavy, depending on what it is. But I'm going to give you guys a choice, and we can do a quick talk about it real quick. So depending on if they've seen it. So we can I'll give y'all the option. You can either talk about, I'm laughing because I already know LaBelle's opinion on one. We can talk about Squid Game. We can talk about Midnight Mass.
I haven't seen Midnight Mass.
Oh, you've not seen Midnight Mass?
Love to talk about that one.
I haven't watched it.
I just wrapped it up last week. Oh my god.
Do you want to know why I didn't watch it? I was gonna watch it.
Go ahead.
I was excited to watch it. And then I went on Twitter. And everyone on Twitter was like, these monologues, Jesus. Okay. These monologues, universe, Buddha, any god that's listening, these monologues. And I was like, oh, maybe I should wait because I don't want to sit through. I'm not in the mood right now. And then I started watching Sex Education.
I mean, to the monologues credit, that's Mike Flanagan's aesthetic. That's his signature. That's his tea because we get monologues in The Haunting of Hill House.
But The Haunting of Hill House was scary. Is Midnight Mass scary?
Yeah.
Okay, look, hey, LaMel, I'll say this. it's to me, as far as writing for it, the thing that's scariest the most is not the monster that's being referenced in the show. That's the only way I can say that. That's the only thing I can tell you. Like,
I enjoy it.
What you call it? Vague reviews. That's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing I can do.
It's the same slow burn horror that Mike Flanagan is known for, and it picks up after like the half. Anyway,
I will say this though. There is a particular movie that he actually made. Well, two movies get made. Like, there's two movies that get mentioned in this show, but there's like two particular movies that are featured within the actual show that he made. So that's another reason why to watch it.
Okay.
Well,
we have a long weekend. I can start tomorrow and probably finish by Sunday.
So let's talk about Squid Game then. So how'd you guys? Let's talk about Squid Game. What's your thoughts?
You want to go first?
You can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I loved Squid Game because I found it through a Facebook post that said, just like, what was it about? Like, why are you always playing games? Or, I can beat this game. And then it's like the game, and it's like the doll from the red light, green light game. And I had no idea what the reference was to. I don't know. So I went into the comments, and somebody mentioned the title. So I just went on Netflix, like with no like there were no trailers. I just dove right in. And after the first episode, I was like, okay, we're in here. So what I really liked about Squid Game was the fact that it's not like, yeah, it's very like flashy and gory and all this stuff and like scary, but
there's a story.
Yeah, the story that was there, the narratives that were explored, the acting was phenomenal. Yeah. The writing was just and like the pacing was also very good. And it's just like how it made me feel afterwards, just like how it makes you think. I remember I was trying to, I don't really binge stuff anymore. I'm not built for that, but I was trying to do 2 episodes a day, right? But I got to episode 6, which was, I think, like the Marvel game. That was the only episode I was able to do that day because I'm like, this just took a lot out of me.
From me.
I can't do any more today. I need a breather. I need to take a break, and we'll come back. And then by that time, it had hit the work week, so I could only do like 1 episode a night. So I finished after a week of starting it. And it was just, I really love it. And I really like the fact that the art in South Korea is being put on like this platform, like this global platform. People are getting to witness and appreciate it and just see like all these different stories being told and like how people are really getting over that like 1-inch barrier that Bong Joon-ho referred to from when he won the Oscar for Parasite, and just how it's like, if we were able, kind of like Serious Games in a way, if we're able to take a look outside of the box that we're used to for what we think film and TV and cinema is supposed to look like and explore like these other avenues, it's like a whole other world. And the fact that globally, like internationally, people have run with this show, and now Halloween is about to be taken over by Squid Game costumes of like the pink soldiers and the participants, and just like all the memes and just like all the oh my god, the animated videos on YouTube are crazy. But I just really love the show for the story, but also the reception it's getting, and it's one of those shows that sticks with you after like the last credits roll, because we don't know if we're getting a second season.
We don't need a second season. No. And the answer is no. It just needs to stop.
It could stand alone, and I'd be fine with that because I think it did what it needed to do.
Yes. Like I always reference Gravity Falls. We don't need to keep this going. I think it's cool that there's like this cliffhanger. Like, did he go back? Is he going back? Why is he going back? Because the show is a good show. There's just plot holes that are like exist that bothered me because like what my man was a whole police officer, didn't come to work, nobody cared, then he died. I mean, and that was it. How did the brother get in charge? He won the game. Did he go back willingly? Did they take him back? Did the old man say, hey, come back? Like, there's just moments. And I'm just like, out of all of the resolution that we got, that wasn't resolved. And then we're going to go back into this world anyway. Like, that was my problem. Like, the more that I think about it, that's what it was. Because we resolved, in theory, all this stuff in his personal life. In theory. Because also, like, his mom died. There was no funeral. The daughter, if you haven't seen it by now, I'm not sorry. Like,
I did. That's why I said spoilers. That's why I said spoilers. So
it's been too long. But then the daughter moved to America, and then you don't go to see her because you choose to go back into this game, which is cool because it plays on this like tragic hero. His flaws are still there, blah 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 blah. But like, also, I don't know. There was just some things that I didn't.
We need a resolution. We need a resolution.
Yes.
There's too much confusion. Yeah. So
there's that.
So we're on opposite sides of the coin on that one. But
I mean, because it was good.
That's our dynamic. You know.
And also, we did a poll, and I was not alone in this emotion.
You won the poll. So I'll have you know that her man was on my side.
Wow.
So take that.
I will. It's fine.
well, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I only watched the last episode and was upset. I think so with me, I think Squid Games was I agree, it definitely was well written. The crazy thing is I had a theory about something, and I try not to look at theory videos, but I had a theory about something, so I looked up a theory video and I actually was right about one particular theory, and that was episode 2, with the exception of one person, foreshadowed every way that everybody was going to die.
See, I need to watch episode 2 again. I didn't get that.
Yep. So we can talk about it. Like I said, she already opened the door. So like on, Ali.
Yeah.
Ali.
That was sad.
Yeah. Ali ends up taking something very valuable in order to get away. And how did he die? The guy that was the gangster, in order for him to get away, he fell off a bridge.
Yeah.
Wu Shiesty, which is the one that everybody Wu Shiesty was in a bathtub full of water getting ready to do something. The girl whose brother was in the orphanage, she put a knife up to somebody's neck on the left-hand side. How did she die?
Wow.
What in the Final Destination?
And then the crazy lady, that was one of the most annoying characters in the whole show. The one that was like mad at all the gangster for what he did. When they did the tug of war, and she was like, "Yeah, I thought we was gonna be a goner, but when we leaned back and pulled, I felt powerful." How did she die?
This is amazing.
And then you know what's even interesting too? That the old man and the main character, all they did was eat. And then how did that end with them together? Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And then
really cool.
and then the other thing, if you look at everybody, I think it started from, I think it was the first episode. Look at the first episode and look at everybody's top. All their numbers got blood on it except for 2 people. 001 and 456.
How do people think? No, like how do you like really like what is the planning that goes on like to put these subtleties in there? That how do they do that?
Time and money.
Oh my God.
And a creative team.
I literally go back through so like one thing with me, like I'll watch a movie once, and then every now and then, depending on how the movie is, if I like it, I'll go back and watch it. It's just like I call it the 5 heartbeat syndrome. And the reason I say that because I watched the 5 heartbeat so many times that every time I watch it, I always see something new. Like there's a part that happens later in the movie in 5 heartbeats where when Eddie Kane was talking about Flash Gordon was trying to riff like him and be like him. And at the first scene in the beginning of the 5 heartbeats, when Eddie Kane comes sliding on the stage singing when he getting chased by the gangsters, if you see Eddie Kane singing, you see Flash in the background, like watching him and mimicking his moves the whole time.
Wow.
Like it's just meticulous. Like I love writing like that. Like that's why I try to pay attention to movies because always subtle stuff you never notice until you go back and look at it. And be like, you know what? It foreshadowed or what Ari's gonna have, or like it's something you never noticed. So. Yeah, Squid Games. I like Squid Games. I can understand the resolution part. I feel like the main character never changed.
No.
Regardless of the money he got, because the exact same situation he got in is the exact same situation how it ended.
Yep.
He literally had to go do something with his daughter, and he ended up placing a bet on something to try to see if he can win it instead of being with his daughter when he need to be with his daughter.
Yep.
It's literally the way it begins is the same way it ends.
Yep.
Regardless. And it's funny because he colored his hair red, and I thought he was doing that because now he called the shots. Like
Yeah.
the was red with the square and.
Yep.
I didn't even pick up on that.
But yeah, so let's go back to our next question. That was
Thank you for listening to our mini-sode with our one and only special guest critter.
Oh yeah, they definitely need to hear that episode. That episode when I go in on Soul was amazing.
Yeah.
Final destination for kids. All right, so with everything y'all have done with ScaryCrit thus far, out of all, and this is being serious. Like I know we being serious and joking about the episode that we've done together, but just any episode. What do you feel has been like the best accomplishment y'all done with ScaryCrit thus far? Because you guys have done a lot of great stuff with it. The fact that you guys are in 4 seasons, the fact that you guys equally share the light and you guys have great chemistry. Because like most people and certain other podcasts are always like somebody get labeled the front runner, but it's never been that way with you guys. And that's what I love about your podcast. But like that's just stuff that I love about you guys. What I feel is what makes you guys great at accomplishing the things you do. So what do you feel has been your greatest accomplishment with ScaryCrit thus far?
I think the community that we found and cultivated from doing this podcast has been really special. Yes, the red haircut was bad. But hold on, slight pause. I've always wanted to do that. Because like whenever you go to the salon and all of those pictures are up, I'd always want to be like that one. But I've never had the courage. But yeah, no, I think the community that we've built is very special because we found so many other Black horror nerds, fanatics, like people who are seeped and soaked into this genre. And then we've even found other podcasters like D180 and the Carpenter Queens. Like we love everyone that we've met and everyone has been so supportive and helpful. And like, it's a really, really special community that I think that we found that have welcomed us in. And have really helped inform kind of like, oh, like we share ideas, we share this, like, oh, this could be better, this could be different, this could be improved. And I think it's really, really helped us blossom into what this podcast wants to be.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of my MFA community, or like whenever we would have, because our name is inspired by my crits from those when I was in grad school, because being in a MFA creative writing program, you would have crit days where you would bring a piece of work to class and you would present it, and then people have read it beforehand, but you would present it and then people would give you notes and like kind of pick it apart a little bit and give you like references and just all this stuff to make your work better. And I feel like this community definitely does that, where like there's never not a reference to give, or you can learn from these other podcasters. And again, just like the replies to our stories and the sharing and just all this stuff, it's just very like what's what I'm looking for, collaborative in a way, where it's just like I just feel like there's no competition.
Yeah,
it's not competitive. It's more just like it's just supportive, which is really nice.
Yeah, and then it's always fun to see like the Homies of Horror did a podcast episode on Candyman the same week that we did. And it's always cool to see how other people have interpreted the same material. Yeah. And especially other Black people, right? Like other Black, what is the word? Aficionado? No. Scholars? No. I don't know. Other Black people who like this stuff like we do. And how they interpreted it or liked it or didn't like it. And like, I wonder, because I'm always like, oh, I wonder if they thought how I felt. Or like, I wonder if they saw something that I didn't see. And it's always very cool.
That's good. That's good. So what's the next big thing that you guys are about to do that you possibly tell us wanting to do, or something that you're shooting for in the near future with ScaryCrit?
I don't know when we'll get to this point, but we have talked about like a live show.
Yeah, or like recording, or just a live, like recording it live. What do you mean a live show?
Like an actual, like an actual live show. But that's probably like a little in the future. But we
we are not Joe Budden level yet. That's a lot.
Joe, that you would reference. You would reference Joe.
I mean, this is the only podcaster I've seen live. I'm sorry.
But we do something like this, so it'd be live. But something where we're probably just like in front of people.
Yeah.
You know?
I also know that, like, so one of the other reasons that we started this podcast was to bring light to Black horror specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as we've gone forward, it's hard. Because, like, mainstream, there's not a lot to choose from.
Once again, this movie has featured no involvement from Black people. That's what I was.
So, I know that one thing that I really want to push for, or try to figure out how to do, is to get people to send us their indie films, like shorts or indie features that have been made by Black and brown people that are out there making horror, so that one, we can shine light onto the things that they are doing, and two, to kind of show that, like, there are other people that this genre is for. Like, I'm in a lot of horror Facebook groups and I am always a minority. Good. And it's very difficult to have conversations with people that don't see it and don't care, right? Yeah. And especially like since like the 70s, the 80s, it's always this misconception that horror is aimed at straight white teenage boys, right? And that leaves out everybody else. And it's difficult, and it's that narrative is still being pushed. It's still being like to the forefront of like, this is who horror is for. And I think that with some of the new movies like Get Out, Candyman, even Malignant, right? It's trying to change the narrative, but it still has to be pushed even further, especially by people like us.
That's a great answer. And now that you brought up the fact you saying like with horror movies and like how Black people are getting showcased, it made me want to bring up this question to you guys. And it's actually a funny question, but I think it's something we can touch on. So like, who would you consider a pivotal Black character from any horror movie that people should know about that probably don't know? I have a good one, but I want to hear what your thoughts are.
A pivotal Black character from a horror movie.
I'll start. I'll start. So, I cannot remember I don't remember the character's name, but the actor's name is Alvin. I think Alvin Alexis, and the movie is Night of the Demons. He is the only Black character in any horror movie I've seen that literally did everything you would want a Black person to do when they're in a horror movie. Like, every time you see the ghost, or like somebody was right by him, he would push him out the way and go start hiding. When it got toward the end, him and the girl had to get away, and the only way they can get over a wall was a barbed wire. And they was like, I don't think we can do this. As soon as they heard a rah, he just started grabbing the barbed wire, jumped over the fence. When the demons came at him, they was about to grab him. He's like, y'all not gonna get me, and jumped through the whole boarded window. It's just like everything. As a matter of fact, I literally put it. It's a Facebook page called, I think, All Things Black Horror. I literally put that video up there saying, give this man his flowers, because he did everything you would want a Black character to do in a movie, and still came back to save the girl. And that was like, I don't even know if that was, I felt like that was probably one of those things that was written for a character, and they didn't expect it to be a Black character cast for it. Mm-hmm. But it was almost like Night of the Living Dead, or Night of the Living Dead, not Night of the Living Dead.
With Dwayne Jones.
Yeah. So it's like almost something similar to that. It's like a Black character put in his role, but they didn't expect it to happen, but that's how it happened.
George Romero did that shit on purpose.
I know he did.
He be lying. He was lying. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I think my go-to character is always Marlene Clark from Ganja and Hess. She played Ganja. And I always say that because, like, homegirl turned into a whole vampire and was just thriving at the end of the movie. Thriving. She was like, yes, I live here now. And it's like when you see Hess struggling this whole time, like, I can't be a vampire. She was like, no, I'm fine.
I love this.
I love this. This is great. This is what power feels like? Wonderful. Thanks.
For me, I wanted to say Carla from I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. But I don't know, I don't know. I keep thinking of this is weird that they're all musical artists, but I'm thinking of like Ice Cube from Anaconda or LL Cool J from Deep Blue Sea.
I have a theory that every R&B star that is put in a horror movie has it written into their contract that they cannot die. Because the only person who ever died was Trey Songz in that terrible remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I do you one better. Christina Milian in Pulse.
Oh, God. She did die in that movie while doing laundry.
But just them two. And like, honestly, do we care about the two of them? Honestly.
I mean, no, not really. But yeah. Well, they'll take that back. What about I take it back. I say because didn't Marcus Houston and Omarion do like scary movies at one point?
Yeah.
But I didn't really see them though. I kind of glimpsed.
I don't remember if they survived.
I don't remember if they survived. I mean, I'm sure
I
they
don't
did.
either. I don't either. I just know they did. I know they tried to do their attempted horror movies. So yeah, that's what I think of. Trey Songz and Christina Milian, and then as far as rappers, I mean, they come in a couple of them. I mean, Snoop was in Bones. I mean, but
and he was like a whole undead person.
And then what was it? Sticky Fingers was in one of the Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yeah.
Too, probably.
Well, Coolio in it as well. Or one of them.
Yeah, I think the second one.
Well, you know what? Even if my theory.
Oh, that's right. Maya died too in the Wolf movie, the Wes Craven Wolf.
Oh, gosh. Damn it! That was.
Well, you know what? Even though this is wrong, it's fun to say, and I'm gonna make this a thing.
Such a good one. What?
All Black people, all R&B stars who are in horror movies have it signed into their contract that they have to survive. I don't care if it's not true. This is a thing now.
There you go.
Signed, sealed, delivered. It's real.
I would have said that about rappers because I think every horror movie that Ice Cube was in, he survived. It was Anaconda and Ghost from Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Which Ghost from Mars, it was.
But did Busta Rhymes die in?
Nope.
No.
He survived.
He survived.
Busta Rhymes used kung fu to beat Michael Myers.
Tyra died off screen, but Busta survived.
Busta survived. He called Michael Myers a crispy chicken bake something. I can't remember.
It's a thing. I'm saying that this is a thing.
I like you should do that. You should do a whole a report on it, like a whole one thing.
Breaking news. I mean, because if this idea that Black men die first is still perpetuated, I can perpetuate this.
You got a point. Do they though?
No, I did a whole survey on it. It took me 8 months. The answer is no.
So I'll do you one better. It is written in the contract, back in her old contract, Megan Good in every horror movie she played in died in it.
They did her dirty in Saw 5.
Every horror movie that Megan Good has been in, she died.
All of them.
One missed call. Saw 5.
Dead.
The Prodigy.
Dead.
What's the other movie? It's another movie.
The thing with the husband?
Oh, Venom.
Venom. Yeah, Venom. Yeah. She died in Venom. Yeah, every horror movie she's been in, she's died.
Dead.
That I can think of.
She was playing the magical Negro stereotype.
That's what. Yes, and they die.
And she got.
Got every time.
Yeah, she died so that somebody can live.
I hate that.
She's like story fodder. That's literally what she was. Like, we're gonna kill her to move this, to progress these other characters.
For plot.
She's a plot device. That's literally what it is. Making good in horror movies is a plot device. The motivation to go for. I'm just saying. That's just a theory. Just a theory.
No, it is real. Signed, sealed, delivered. It's a thing.
So, last question for me. When people meet ScaryCrit, what's one thing that people should know about ScaryCrit when they meet the people that put this wonderful thing together?
We are unscrupulous.
It will make you. No. I love your big word usage. It will make you think and laugh at the same time, because one of our goals, and like something that I always say is, like when I consume media, I like to critically think about what is being presented to me. I like to critically think about what it is that I'm supposed to be consuming and absorbing, and I like to unpack stuff, because then you start to ask questions, and you're just like, why is this like this? Why is this in a certain way? Or what were they getting at by making this character do this? Or, you know, and with ScaryCrit, we unpack that stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nice to be able to have a platform where we can kind of open people up to like different ways of viewing things or different ways of thinking about them, because it can be like, it's like rewind it back to the episode we did about Jennifer's Body, where it's a good movie, but why was it not received in that way? And that was because you see that it was marketed, the way it was marketed was not the kind of movie that it was. And it just, there was a disconnect. And so we were exploring, and while exposing that disconnect and just making people aware of, you know, like things like intersectionality and how that influences like everything. It's everywhere, like everything that you see, and just like looking at the different lines and things that intersect in these films, and like what they produce,
Mm-hmm.
and what they could have been,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So,
well, to piggyback off that, right? Like, I think we were both very privileged to be able to go to grad school.
I mean, we're in debt because of it, you know.
In crippling debt, but we went. These degrees keep me warm at night, so it's okay. But I think that the most interesting thing about being in grad school for me was the limited like access, right? So I can learn all these things. I get to meet all these really interesting and cool makers and scholars and learn all of this information, but it was never presented in a way to me that was easily understood.
Mm.
So like I don't know if it's like an academic thing. I don't know if it's like a racist thing. I don't know. But every time I was presented with a new piece of information or a new idea, it was given to me in a way that was like heady. It was all like, according to the theory of so-and-so and blah, 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 the demystification of and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then when he would plainly be like, oh, we're just trying to like uncover the thing. Okay, you could have said it that way first and then gone into all of this other jargon.
Yeah.
Because the point of, I think, of learning is to get the base thing and then learn how to say it in like the proper terms. But you have to get that foundation, right?
How do you translate it? How do you make it more applicable to
right.
a wider audience? So they don't get left out. So they can also
understand. And it's like, especially with horror, it's such a looked over genre all the time because of the blood and the guts and the danger and the boobs and whatever. But there's so much meat there. And I think that there's always just that gap of understanding. And so that's always been my motivation, is like, I have all of this knowledge and I want to make it as accessible as possible. And that's the point. I think that's the goal of learning and getting all these degrees and like doing all this stuff. Is like, what do you do with it? You make what you have accessible to everyone else, so that now we can all have this really large conversation. Because I think the cool thing,
now we can all sit at the table.
Right. I made it. Have a seat. What does the law say? Sit down. Be welcome. But it's also like, I think that these terms, these ideas, are things that we do every day that we might not have a name for. And so I think once you are able to name that for yourself, you can look at your world differently and be like, oh, I've been doing this work all along. How is this not going to influence my day-to-day reaction? Like, how am I going to look at media and film and billboards and stuff differently now that I understand the language with which that they are analyzed? So.
Yeah, it's like putting on I forget what classic film this was. It was like putting on the sunglasses and you see everything that, come on, you get this reference. Like that, it was like kind of what Free Guy was referencing when he put on the glasses and he saw, okay. But it was this old like black and white movie, I think, where he put on these glasses and he could see how the world really was around him, like all the hidden meanings and messages and like what was at work.
I have a vague idea of what you're talking about. I don't know.
I feel like it was presented to us in like Serious Games. It probably wasn't, but
maybe it was. You don't know.
Anyway, if you guys know this reference, you know it. But it's okay if you don't. But what we're saying is that we do that on our show. We just present it in a very colloquial, relatable style that is familiar to us.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't read like the Norton anthology of.
Right. This is not NPR.
We are definitely not NPR, but what we do use like that, those kind of like the terms are the big, like I said, like with intersectionality, we do use theory. We do use a lot of say like theory or academic references, but we do it in a way where it's casual conversation, like living room conversation, because I feel that is a more approachable way.
Yeah.
It's more familiar, it's more personable,
It's more
but it's
engaging.
also just more fun because like we're not in school anymore.
Right, God no.
Like that's not like we can bring the stuff we learned in school, but we're gonna present to you.
We have come down from the ivory towers with all of the things and have given them to the people.
and it's just very fun to be able to do that in this way, where there's not we can really freely express ourselves, but we can also learn new stuff and also teach other people. And I think it's just a really fun dynamic and aesthetic that we've accomplished and built here with ScaryCrit. It's very enjoyable for I think both of us.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, any future episode? I know you have an episode out that I know I want y'all to tell everybody about, so that way they can listen to it. But any future episodes coming after that we need to be looking out for?
What episode just dropped? The Vamp episode.
Yes, we did Vamp. We did our most recent episode from this week. We credited the 1986 comedy, or our frightening comedy, Vamp, starring the one and only Grace Jones, and we talked about the fact that she was a silent antagonist and how having someone as like iconic, incredible as Grace Jones, why would you silence her on screen? But at the same time, how is she able to command the screen with no words? And like the queer undertones between AJ and Keith, the protagonists, and like the point of these throwaway characters like Duncan and Amaretto, and just
and the 80s camp forever. Y'all know I love a good light gag. Lighting. Ooh.
And also just like because we did Jennifer's Body the week before, so we're kind of continuing a theme of how the male gaze is being like turned against itself with these films, because you have because it's about like strippers. AJ and Keith are going to find strippers, but one of them gets seduced by Katrina.
I'll give away the whole story.
Who's played by Jones. Just it's just so that was a fun one, but we have a couple more planned. I know that we both haven't seen it yet, but we plan to watch the Forever Purge for a future episode. And
oh God, please watch that.
Okay, we have a recommendation, so we'll watch that, and we're gonna credit. That's probably gonna be towards the end of the season. So
because from the beginning we baked in breaks for ourselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So each season is 10 episodes. Mm-hmm. So we do 10 episodes and we take a break, recalibrate, and then come back for the next season. So I think that was episode 36.
Yeah. No. Yes, because I said you didn't know. LJ, you know who Captain Falcon is.
Yes.
Get back here.
What about Captain Falcon?
I made a reference because it's our 36th episode, and I said, "Oh, that's the same age as Captain Falcon." Mel did not know who Captain Falcon was.
I feel judged.
I'll send you who it is. I'll tell you all about it.
I told her already.
Yeah, judgy.
Shame.
Shame. So, I do have let me know. I have some. I do y'all do requests on certain movies if y'all
Yeah. We were talking about that. We really want to start getting to a place like for the next seasons here where we take more requests from people, like how.
But we had a request. We did the first Purge. That was a request.
Oh, that was a request. The first Purge with the Black Rambo. We did that one.
Black Rambo
last season. So we do want to take more requests and do those because sometimes we.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you that I am not alone. Oh. Sorry, continue.
Sorry.
That's cool.
But yeah, we really want to do the Forever Purge. But yeah, for next season coming out, because sometimes I'll be a little transparent. Sometimes when we have brainstorm sessions about what movies to do, we draw blanks. So
because we also want to expand it, right?
Yeah.
Because like I want to do more K horror, more J
yeah,
horror.
we've gotten some requests for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some other international stuff, and then like now it's our thing to always do like a G-rated thing. Like we did Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. We did Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
So
well, Haunted Mansion was PG. Coraline was PG.
But yeah, I mean PG, it's all the same to me.
Anything less than PG-13.
Anything that's not R.
Anything
for the children.
Anything for the children.
Gotcha.
Do a little bit more of that.
Well, so. I can tell you 2 requests I have. One, one's new and one's old. The newer one would be because I just seen it, and even though I appreciate what they did, it's still not better than the first 2. They just released VHS 94.
Oh, they did. It came out on Shudder. I need to watch it. I need to watch it.
I like it, but it's not up there with like 1 and 2.
It's not. It does. It's not. It doesn't. It doesn't.
If I was to rank the 4 for me, it would be VHS 2 because there's a particular one I like. VHS 2, VHS 94, and then Viral will be last.
Viral was terrible.
Yeah,
Viral was garbage.
So are you saying
this one will have some good ones? It's just I think what took away from me is the overarching story that I can care less about.
For 94, was it that the quality wasn't on par with VHS and VHS 2?
I wouldn't say that because some of the directors they had in there, one of the directors was, did a movie called The Night Comes For Us, which is like a Indonesian kung fu movie, and it's just basically like the person that directed The Raid or something like that is like a person that works with them who directed it. So it wasn't that the fact of the quality. I was fine with it because I knew what I was getting into because of the year frame they said they were going to do it. I just think some of the stories, like one took too long, and then I'm going to give you a reference, but then you'll see the turn when it happened. One of them is going to put you in the mindset of Tales from the Hood 3.
Okay.
I can't tell you what story it is, but you'll find it when you get to it. And then, but I just think it was fine. It just, I don't know. It just didn't stand out like the first ones did for me. But I enjoyed it. It was still an okay watch. So, who said first? Somebody said the first one was good. But then the old movie, I was tossed up to get which one I wanted to give y'all because one side of me is telling me if y'all haven't done it, The Changeling.
We haven't done it.
The Changeling, and then another one, which I always tell people about, is called Burnt Offerings. And
that sounds familiar.
Burnt Offerings is so good.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So that would be my.
I don't remember what I've seen it.
You don't ask me the details.
You are the details.
But that's just me. I will email you those requests. So
okay.
That's just me. Other than that, I have no other horror movies I can tell you about because I'm still playing catch up to a couple.
Have you seen Malignant?
I have. It's a fun ride.
I hate it. You see it?
It's a fun ride.
No, it's not.
No. I say it's a fun ride because I literally knew, like, at the first beginning, I was like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be this. And then after a while, when stuff started happening, I just started laughing in the movie theater because I was like,
same.
I was like, like me and Monica literally started laughing, and then not giving the movie away for people that didn't see it. When it got to the jail scene, I lost in the movie theater. I just started laughing. I couldn't help it. It was just.
I just think James Wan he's been making action movies for a while now, and I feel like that translated over into this in a way that it should not have.
I think he purposed, but the thing is, though, I think he knew what it was going to do, and that's the thing about it. I don't think he was trying to make this to be some great movie. Like, I think he purposely made it just to make it the way it is. Like,
okay, I hate it.
If you I can get that.
I'm mad about it.
It just wasn't for me.
How dare you invoke the name of Mario Bava and then fail? Like, I was upset.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think he took it as a part of the fact of I'm only going to give you this much of what I guess a Gallo movie would do. Like, they give you somewhat of a story, but they don't tell you what the story is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he did as far as the concept. But like you said, to put in the names of certain people, it is nowhere near close to that. I definitely get it. But look on the bright side. It wasn't a remade Argento would
That's
be like
true.
superior.
Okay.
See,
Because
LJ with the positivity, because I'm
Yeah.
over here being Debbie Downer. You're right.
because we saw what happened when they tried to remake Suspiria.
We don't invoke that name.
Yeah,
Here.
exactly. So exactly. Now if they would have did Demons, I would have fought them. Like Demons is one of my favorite ones.
Oh yeah.
I love Demons. The black dude made the most sense. The pimp, and he got. You know what? Hold up discussion. So where can everybody find you guys at?
We are on Instagram at ScaryCrit Podcast. We are also trying to be on Twitter at ScaryCrit Podcast. If you want to follow us on Twitter and like encourage us to tweet, go ahead.
Oh Lord.
And then you can find our like personal Instagram and stuff from following that because we're like linked to it. So
all right. And where can they listen to the ScaryCrit podcast?
Anywhere and everywhere you guys listen to podcasts. Are you on Spotify? So are we. Do you do an Apple podcast? We're on there too. Most places.
But if you don't know, you can just we have direct links on our website, ScaryCritPodcast.com. Just click away. We're there.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. This has been a blast, and I'm definitely thankful I could have you guys on here for the wonderful month of October, because Halloween and all the good horror stuff that comes out here. Yes, guys, everybody that's listening, please follow ScaryCrit podcast on Twitter. Listen to their streaming platforms, listen to all their podcast stuff. Email them, encourage them that you want to see them at Comic-Cons. We're going to speak that to existence, Comic-Cons and Horror Cons. We're going to see them, do panels, and talk about why Black horror matters. So, yeah. All that
on t-shirt.
Hey, there you go. That's y'all. Y'all had that. Make it happen. Look, there you go right there. You're talking about merch. There you go. Black horror matters. There you go. That's y'all thing. So, other than that, guys, we love y'all so much. Facebook, YouTube. And if you want to see the replay of the show, you can go to Facebook or YouTube and look me up, LJ Bowens. We will have this recap up momentarily. And above all else, we love y'all. We thank y'all for tuning in. Special thanks once again to ScaryCrit Podcast. And that's it, guys. Enjoy y'all night. I know some of y'all ready to go to the club because it's only 9 something. So y'all can get ready to get dressed, whatever's happening. I'm not going to no
Saturday.
club.
It is.
It is. I'm in the house, though. I ain't going nowhere. I'm good. My club days are over. So we love y'all. Always remember purpose of popularity. Peace.
Later on, podcast people.